You know, we love to talk about talent and genius, right? But what if the real, honest-to-goodness key to success is something, well, a lot less flashy? Today, we're going to get into persistence, that quiet, stubborn force that keeps you going when every part of you wants to quit. We're going to explore why this one single trait can blow raw talent right out of the water, and more importantly, how you can build it for yourself. So, there's this idea that most people give up at the very beginning, but that's not really true. The reality is actually way more tragic. The place where most people throw in the towel is right when they are agonizingly close to the finish line. You know the feeling? The initial buzz is gone, you're exhausted, and the goal is so close you can taste it, but it still feels a million miles away. That moment, right there, is what separates success from, well, from almost. So what's going on there? Why do we stop when we're so close to a breakthrough? What's happening on our heads in that critical moment? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack the psychology behind giving up and, more importantly, figure out how to fight back. Okay, so before we can figure out why we quit, we really need to get clear on what it even means to persist. Because it's not about being blindly stubborn. No, it's actually a really smart, strategic way of dealing with whatever life throws at you. See, persistence is so much more than just gritting your teeth and pushing forward. It's this powerful mix of having a laser-sharp focus on what you want and keeping that fire, that enthusiasm alive. It's the ability to not just get knocked down, but to actually use those setbacks as fuel to learn, to pivot, and to find a new way to get to where you're going. And this quote from Confucius, it just nails it. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. This isn't a race, you know? It's a journey. The real secret is just consistent forward movement. Every single tiny step forward is a win. It's proof that you're committed to not stopping. We've all been there. You start a new project or a new goal, and you're just full of energy and motivation. But then, what happens when that initial spark starts to fade? Let's take a look at the psychological roadblocks that always seem to get in our way. And here they are, the 4 horsemen of quitting. Fear of failure paralyzes us. Having vague goals is like being lost at sea without a map. Impatience makes us want results yesterday, and that little voice of self-doubt whispers that maybe, just maybe, we're not cut out for this. If any of those sound familiar, hey, you're in good company. But here's the thing. Those 4 are really just symptoms. There's a much deeper, more powerful factor at play, one that was identified by the psychologist Martin Seligman. The real difference maker between people who persist and people who quit isn't whether or not they fail, because everybody fails. The difference is the story they tell themselves about that failure. This right here is the fork in the road. When something goes wrong, a pessimist sees it as permanent. This is never going to work. They blame themselves. It's all my fault. And they see it as universal. I fail at everything. But an optimist? They see the exact same event as temporary. Okay, that didn't work this time. They look for an external cause. Maybe my approach was wrong. And they see it as specific. This one thing didn't work, but it doesn't mean my whole life is a failure. This one little Now for the good news. And this is really good news. Persistence is not some magic trait you're either born with or you're not. It's a skill. It is a muscle. And like any muscle, you can build it. So let's get practical. Let's open up the toolkit and see how you can start strengthening your own persistence. It all has to start with a destination. I mean, persistence without a clear goal is just running around in circles, right? So you have to think of your goal like a lighthouse in the distance. It's the thing that's going to guide you through the storms and keep you on track when you feel totally lost. But here's the catch. Just having a vague wish like, I want to be successful, isn't a goal. It's a dream. To turn that dream into something real, you need a solid plan. And that is where the SMART framework comes in. It can totally transform how you set your goals. So let's just run through this real quick. Your goal has to be specific, super clear, not fuzzy. It needs to be measurable, so you know if you're making progress. It should be ambitious. It's got to stretch you a little. But also realistic. You have to be able to actually achieve it. And finally, time-bound. It needs a deadline. When you use this framework, you turn a wish into a mission. Okay, so your SMART goal is the map. But self-discipline, that's the engine that's going to get you there. And I love this quote from Jocko Willink because it kind of flips the whole idea of discipline on its head. It's not about being restricted. It's about giving yourself the freedom to keep going, especially on those days when your motivation has completely checked out.
And if you're looking for a super simple way to start building that discipline muscle, you have got to try the Pomodoro technique. It's an absolute game changer. It takes these huge, scary tasks and breaks them down into these little 25-minute sprints of focused work. Then you get a little break. It is so simple, but it is an incredibly powerful way to beat procrastination and build some real momentum.
All right, let's get to the final and maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle. Because even if you have the clearest goals and the most discipline in the world, you are going to have setbacks. It's just inevitable. How you choose to see those moments will change everything. It's time to reframe what failure means. This one quote can radically change your relationship with messing up. There is no failure, only feedback. Just imagine that for a second. What if every time you failed, it wasn't a dead end? What if it was just a piece of data, a clue, telling you what to try next? It's not a stop sign, it's a course correction. That mindset shift is how you turn failure into fuel. Your perspective really is your superpower. The situation itself might not change, but when you change the way you look at it, its power over you just vanishes. A roadblock becomes a chance to find a creative detour. An obstacle becomes a workout for your problem-solving skills.
So here are 4 really simple reframes you can try the next time you hit a wall. Instead of saying, I failed, try thinking, okay, I'm learning. Instead of, I can't do this, try, nope, I'm just practicing. And please don't forget the power of just laughing at yourself. Sometimes the most resilient thing you can do is not take yourself so darn seriously.
At the end of the day, persistence is an act of faith. It's this deep belief that if you just keep putting in the work, it will eventually pay off. It's having the courage to take just one more step, even when you can't see the finish line at all. So I'll leave you with this question. What's the one goal in your life that you are willing to be just a little bit unreasonable about? The one thing you simply refuse to give up on?